I just watched Novocaine and I have one question. Does a movie need to be original?
Hi.
Yeah, no, I couldn't feel it at all.
Holy shit.
2025 has begun with some bangers. Enough for me to pronounce the dark age of cinema to be effectively over. We've gotten great movies like Last Breath, Companion, and My Dead Friend Zoe. Of course, there have been stinkers like Mickey 17, but it's been mostly good. And now we're getting Novocaine, an original concept starring perennial nepo-baby Jack Quaid. An original movie? In Hollywood? Color me shocked. But is Novocaine any good? And is this the start of a new trend in Hollywood? Join me, dear viewer, as I dive back into the raging dumpster fire that is modern Hollywood. Before we dive in, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button. And if you really want to make sure you never miss out, ring that notification bell too. It'll help us break through the YouTube algorithm and keep this channel growing strong. Novacane is a 2025 action comedy film directed by Dan Burke and Robert Olson, starring Jack Quaid as Nathan Kane, a mild-mannered assistant bank manager with congenital insensitivity to pain, or CIP, a rare disorder that renders him unable to feel physical pain. Nathan leads a cautious and isolated life, avoiding potential injuries due to his condition. His routine existence takes a turn when he develops feelings for his new coworker, Sherry, played by Amber Midthunder, who introduces him to new experiences and begins to draw him out of his shell. Nathan and Sherry's budding romance is abruptly interrupted when a group of robbers, led by the ruthless Simon, played by another nepo baby, Ray Nicholson, targets their bank, taking Sherry hostage in the process. Determined to rescue her, Nathan embarks on a perilous mission, leveraging his inability to feel pain as an unexpected advantage. Throughout his journey, he confronts numerous physical challenges and combats dangerous adversaries, all while pushing the limits of his condition to save the woman he loves. I immediately gave this movie major brownie points for not being a sequel, remake, or adaptation. If you haven't noticed, this is a complete rarity in Hollywood these days. Couple that with a simple and decent plot alongside good character development, and now I'm a happy camper. Is this a low bar? Maybe. But we've suffered through the last decade and a half with movies that lacked coherent plots and exhibited zero character development. I'm looking at you, Ray Skywalker. So yeah, the bar is set extremely low, and Novocaine manages to clear it with ease. All that being said, the movie isn't without its faults. Jack Quaid essentially plays Huey from The Boys, except he now has a superpower. So this role isn't too much of a stretch of his acting abilities. But the problem is that he lacks the charm and comedic timing that the character of Novocaine absolutely needed. Other actors that could have played the role of Novocaine include Adam Brody and Dylan O'Brien. For me, Adam Brody has that quirky, awkward, yet very charming personality already perfected from his days doing The OC. He could have brought all that charm into this film in a way that Jack Quaid never could. That said, the movie actually had a decent plot and, surprisingly, some pretty great character development. The protagonist wasn't just a generic action hero. His emotional arc was well done, and they actually gave some depth to his relationships, especially with Sherry and his only friend Roscoe, played by the always charming Jacob Batalon. Even the love interest Sherry had layers, although it's a little hard to root for her when she's, an accessory to murder. But hey, at least she looked sad about it, which rounded out her character arc at the end of the film. Of course, because it's 2025 and Hollywood still just can't help itself, they had to throw in a groan-worthy line about how the protagonist gets off easy because he's a white male banker. Because obviously, that was super relevant to the plot. At this point, these random political jabs are like a bad seasoning, just sprinkled in for no reason other than obligation. Although I will say that it was just a sprinkling instead of the heavy-handed messaging that we've had in films of the past 15 years. Still, despite that nonsense, Novocaine was fun. The action scenes were solid, the Home Alone style trap sequence was hilarious, and the humor actually worked more often than not. It's not a cinematic masterpiece, but in a sea of endless sequels and reboots, an original concept with a decent story and well-developed characters, I call that a win. A very rare win these days. Does it need to be Shawshank? No. But it is enjoyable mental junk food in the same vein as the Fast and the Furious franchise. So to summarize, Novocaine is a totally original concept, which is honestly refreshing in a time when Hollywood just keeps recycling the same IP like they're afraid of new ideas. It's basically Deadpool Jr. meets Kick-Ass, with a little hardcore Henry energy thrown in for good measure. Jack Quaid, in his usual form, plays yet another bumbling, stammering guy who miraculously ends up in an action movie. Honestly, Dylan O'Brien or Adam Brody would have been a much better fit, but Hollywood seems determined to make Quaid happen whether we like it or not. So should you go see Novocaine? Yeah, I would say so. I thought it was a pretty fun movie overall. But what do you guys think of all this? Do you want to see more of Jack Quaid? And did you enjoy Novocaine as an original concept? Please do let me know down below in the comments, and as always, hit that like button, ring that notification bell, and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okie dokie.